Welcome everyone. I, Ritika Manglik, volunteer of AFRS Applied Forensic Research Sciences, is going to present on the topic of crime scene kits for the examination of biological evidences today. Here are the contents of my topic. First, understanding biological samples in crime scene. Second, role of biological samples in forensic analysis. Third, challenges in collecting biological samples. Fourth, components of a crime scene kit for biological samples. Fifth, packaging and preservation materials. Sixth, essential components of a crime scene investigation kit. Seventh, conclusion. Understanding biological samples in crime scene investigation. It is essential for solving crimes and identifying suspects. What are biological samples? It refers to any evidence that comes from a living organism. In crime scenes, these typically include blood, body fluids such as saliva, urine, sweat, hair and skin cells which can provide DNA information, tissues, any small pieces of body tissues found at the scene. It can also help in establishing connections between the suspect, victims, and the crime scene. Legal and investigative significance. The legal and investigative significance of biological samples in forensics is multifaceted, impacting both the collection and use of these samples in criminal investigation. Here's an overview of the key aspects, where it's about the ownership and the consent. Informed consent is necessary for the collection and the use of the biological samples. Regulatory compliance. Various laws govern the collection, storage, and use of biological samples to ensure ethical standards are met. Types of biological samples: blood samples, saliva samples, hair samples, urine samples, tissue sample, cerebrospinal fluids, semen, feces, and bone marrow. Role of biological samples in forensics. Linking suspects to the crime scene. Biological samples are crucial for establishing connections between suspects and crime scenes. Various types of biological evidences such as blood, saliva, hair, and skin cells can provide DNA that is unique to individuals. This allows investigators to match the DNA from the crime scene with that of a suspect or victim. Supporting victim identification. Biological samples are also vital in identifying victims, especially in cases where the individuals may not be immediately recognizable due to injury or decomposition. In situations where the victims are unidentifiable, such as in mass disasters or severe assaults, biological samples like blood or hair can be collected. Comparing these samples against DNA databases or known relatives can help confirm the identity of the victim. Facilitating crime reconstruction. Biological evidence is instrumental in reconstructing the events of a crime, helping investigators understand what happened before, during, and after an incident. The patterns found by the blood at a crime scene can reveal important details about how an event unfolded. For instance, the direction and distribution of blood stains can indicate the position of victims and assailants during an attack. Challenges in collecting biological samples. Risk of environmental contamination and degradation of samples. Collecting biological samples for forensic analysis is fraught with challenges, particularly concerning environmental contamination and the degradation of samples. Here's a breakdown of these issues. Environmental contamination. Environmental contamination refers to the unwanted and introduction of foreign substances into blood samples, which can compromise their integrity and the reliability of test results. Sources of contamination. Biological samples can be contaminated by various environmental factors, including dust, microbes, and chemicals present in the surroundings. For example, if a blood sample is collected in an area with high levels of pollutants or biological material from other sources, it may lead to inaccurate test results. Handling procedures. Improper handling during collection can also introduce contaminants. For instance, if collectors do not use sterile equipment or gloves, they risk transferring bacteria or other substance into the sample. Transportation risk. During transport from the crime scene to the laboratory, samples can be exposed to conditions that may lead to contamination. If samples are not securely packaged or maintained at appropriate temperature, they can become compromised. Degradation of samples. Degradation refers to the breakdown of biological materials over time, which can significantly affect the quality and usability of samples for forensic analysis. Temperature sensitivity. Biological samples are sensitive to temperature changes. Exposure to high temperatures can accelerate degradation processes, particularly affecting DNA integrity. For instance, DNA can degrade rapidly when exposed to heat and humidity, resulting in lower success rates for DNA profiling techniques. Time factor. The longer biological samples are stored before analysis, the greater the risk of degradation. Freeze thaw cycles. Repeatedly freezing and thawing biological sample can also cause degradation. This is particularly problematic for proteins and RNA, which are sensitive to temperature fluctuation and can lose their functionality if not handled properly. Components of a crime scene kit for biological samples. A well equipped crime scene kit is essential for the effective collection and preservation of biological samples. Here are detailed key components that should be included in such a kit. Essential tools and equipment, personal protective equipment like gloves, mask, and protective clothing to prevent contamination of samples and protect investigators. Collection tools, sterile swabs, pipettes, and forceps are used for collecting biological samples like blood, saliva, semen, vaginal swabs, or hair. Evidence collection containers, various sizes of biohazards bags, evidence envelopes, and sterile containers are used to securely store collected samples. Contents of the kit, sample collection items like sterile cotton swabs for DNA collection, blood collection tubes or vials, plastic or glass containers used for liquid samples like urine, documentation supplies, evidence labels, markers, and notebooks for recording details about the samples collected. Presumptive testing kits, kits for preliminary testing of biological fluids, example, blood test kits, confirm the presence of specific substances. Packaging and preservation materials, tamper evidence seals to secure the evidence containers and maintain the chain of custody. Biohazard label to clearly mark containers holding biological materials to ensure proper handling. Packaging materials, paper bags, plastic bags, and cardboard boxes in various sizes are used to accommodate different types of samples. Temperature control measures, coolers or refrigeration units, which is used to maintain appropriate temperatures for biological samples during transport and storage. This is crucial for preventing degradation. Ice packs or dry ice for short term temperature control during transport of sensitive biological samples that require refrigeration. Labeling and documentation, evidence labels, pre printed labels with space for case numbers, sample types, dates, and collector information to ensure clear identification. Chain of custody forms, documentation that tracks the handling of evidence from the point of collection through analysis to court presentation. Field notes, notebooks, or templates for recording observation at the scene, including the location of samples collected and any relevant environmental conditions. Essential components of a crime scene investigation kit. A well equipped crime scene investigation kit is crucial for effective evidence collection and analysis. Here's a breakdown of the essential components focusing on testing supplies, forensic photography equipment, and miscellaneous supplies. First, testing supplies. Biological sample collection kits include sterile swabs, blood collection tubes, and containers for preserving biological evidence like saliva or semen. Presumptive test kits, tools for preliminary testing of substances such as blood or drugs to confirm their presence before further analysis. Chemical testing supplies, like reagents and kits for identifying specific substances found at the scene, example drug identification kits. Trace evidence collection tools, like adhesive lifters, tweezers, and specialized containers for collecting trace evidences like hair, fibers, and glass fragments. Second, forensic photography equipment, digital cameras, which are used for high resolution capable of capturing detailed images of the crime scene and evidences. Lenses, a variety of lenses, including macro lenses for close up shots of small evidences and wide angle lenses for capturing overall scene perspectives. Tripods and stabilizers, sturdy tripods to stabilize the camera during long exposure shots or in low light conditions. Lighting equipment, external flash units, and forensic light sources like UV or infrared to illuminate evidence effectively and reveal details not visible to the naked eye. Evidence scales and rulers, measurement tools to provide size references in photographs, ensuring accurate representation of evidences. Third, miscellaneous supplies. Personal protective equipment PPE like gloves, masks, and protective clothing to prevent contamination of samples and protecting investigators. Documentation tools, notebooks, evidence labels, and chain of custody forms to record details about collected evidence and maintaining proper documentation. Packaging materials like biohazard bags, tamper evidence seals, and various size containers for securely storing collected samples. Field tools, measuring tapes, markers, string for making evidence location, and other tools necessary for scene documentation. Biological kits and their components. Search Evidence Collection Kit, which is designed to provide comprehensive tools and materials for effective crime scene analysis and evidence collection. Its contents are corrugated white mailer, integrity evidence bags in different dimensions, craft evidence bags, evidence jars of 1 to 4 types, disposable scalpel, plastic tweezer, zip top evidence bag, scissors, black permanent marker, evidence integrity strips, evidence ID labels. DNA Biological Evidence Collection Kit DNA 200 is designed for efficient extraction and purification of DNA from various biological samples, making it a valuable tool in forensic investigations. Components of the DNA 200 kit are sterile cotton tipped applicator swabs, swab box, swab drying rack, clear polystyrene evidence collection jars, 1 to 4 type, LED pen light, white coin envelope printed, mask disposable tile, straight hamostate stainless steel, curved scissors, spiral bound notebook, biohazard handle with glove seals, integrity seals, tip markers, scalpel, round blade, which is sterile and disposable, evidence identification labels, distilled water, nitrile powder free gloves, pre printed evidence bags, and brochure about the DNA. Blood card collection kit, which is used to collect and store blood samples in a dried form for later analysis. It's commonly used in forensic science, medical diagnostics, genetic studies, and newborn screening. Here are the contents of blood card collection kit. White corrugated mailer, manila coin envelopes, subject case identifier labels for envelopes, blank blood cards. Blood urine specimen collection kit, which is used in clinical, forensic, and research settings to collect, preserve, and transport biological specimens, blood, and urine for various types of analysis, such as toxicology, drug testing, or disease diagnosis. These kits ensure that the specimens are collected in a sterile and secure manner to avoid contamination or degradation. Its contents include white corrugated mailer with different dimension, factory sealed, instruction sheet, FDA insert, consent form, police officer's report, blood urine collection report, iodine prep pad, multi sample needle, blood collection tube, needle with lure adapter multi sample, specimen security seal, absorption sheet, zip top bag, evidence seal, that label, bubble pouch, and urine specimen. Conclusion: a crime scene kit for biological evidence examination ensures efficient collection, proper preservation, prevention of degradation, and minimizes contamination. It includes tools like swabs, sterile containers, labels, and preservatives to maintain evidence integrity, aiding in accurate forensic analysis and documentation. Thank you.